I wonder if I would. What's going on? We're live! We're live! We're live! We're live! Alright, so I'm back again with my boy Richie. Richie is a top lad. So today...
Yeah.
So basically today what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about training and nutrition for beginners. And I know Richie's a really knowledgeable dude. I know Richie for a while, and you know, he's always got his way of explaining things, which is really good, and he's actually a good teacher. So today what I'm going to ask Richie is, Richie, like, imagine if I was just starting bodybuilding and I wanted to get into it. I wanted to get into, even not just bodybuilding, but fitness in general. Hi, Chimobi, Prosper, how are you?
Hey, bro.
Thanks for tuning in. Give us a thumbs up, guys. So today we're talking about you know, training and nutrition for beginners. So let's start with training, Richie. So if I was to ask you about, like, you know, as a beginner, like, what would I do? Like, if I wanted to get into fitness or bodybuilding, what would I do as a beginner to get started?
Okay, so I'll just start by commending Kwame back because he just talked me up so much. Yeah. He's actually top bloke as well, and he's got a lot of experience with competing, and you know, he's knows what he's on about to diet down and maintain as well. You know, he's asking me questions about what to do to get in shape, and you know, it's not too different from how we are like in our friendship as well in real life. He does actually ask me advices. It's funny. This guy who...
No, I'm joking.
I'm his I am his sort of go-to where he'll go and ask me stuff, and I think, you know, what I would say is you're trying to learn anything, and this is anything in life really.
Keeping an open mind,
you
guys,
need to know that it's something you want to learn about. There's subject matter experts on any topics that you're interested in learning, and so that you would go to those experts and you'd learn from them. So, you know, if you were around in, say, Adelaide, and you could maybe set up an appointment to meet up with someone like Kwame, I'd go ahead and go and find out, hey, what's in his head? What has he been doing to get where he's at? What is he doing to sustain? Try to pick his brain and try to learn. So those experts actually have knowledge which you could gain, and once you got that knowledge, you can apply it to yourself and see how that works. The other expert advice that you could get is not only from people, but from published sources. So yeah, anyone could be a keyboard warrior writing whatever on bodybuilding.com, but I do recommend that if you do actually go to like a library, or like you know, search online where you could put on hold a published source of book. The fact that it's published means that, you know, it's got more credibility to it. For example, I'll give you like, there's a book called the Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding by Arnold Schwarzenegger, the modern version. So you could go and pick that up. It's like $50. It's 700 pages of bodybuilding stuff, which teaches you everything from different muscle parts to different stages of competing, or like, you know, how to make your own protein shake and stuff like that. So it's pretty...
just quickly, just a big shout out to my boy 645 M Views. I love his comment. He said, I was playing a game, then notification popped up, Kwame Duah's live, and then I ran and grabbed my phone and watched it now. You're a champ, brother, you're a champ. So
it's awesome, and we would love to have 645 million views.
We would absolutely love to have 645 million. That would be the best.
Yeah.
Just touching on the page, so like, Richie talked about, you know, doing your research. Like, Arnold's book was one that he talked about, which is really good. Get an encyclopedia, you know, get information from people. That was amazing. So yeah, that's really good.
Extremely general advice. I'm sure that they wouldn't mind hearing some specific advices from me as well.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was actually getting to. Yeah. So
I thought I said
if we're talking to, so in your opinion, Richie, if we're talking about like training, okay, what would you say like will be like some of your most staple exercises, or even let's even break it down to your splits. For instance, like, what would you say as a beginner? What would you give a beginner?
Yeah. Okay, as a beginner, I would like concentrate on, I call it compound or composite kind of exercises. So the squat, bench, deadlift are really important to, you know, master and just try to get some strength from. Once you start progressive overloading with those kind of exercises, you'll find that you can actually develop a kind of base plate of muscle. I think some people may find that if you did try all of the different specific exercises too early, like every single different angle that you could hit shoulders with or something, it might be too specific and you may not get as much result as you want to. If you want to really stimulate your body to grow with muscle, it's really important, I think, to lift the heaviest weights that you can, and that is dependent on the exercises that you can use. You'll find that squat, bench, and deadlift are the three top exercises you can sort of lift the most weight with. I'll give you an example. If you try to do like an isolated bicep curl because you wanted bigger arms, it's like, yeah, that'll work, but like how much weight in numbers quantitatively are you going to lift with bicep? And you might say, I don't know, like 10 kilo or 20 kilo dumbbell, or maybe even 30. But if you try to do something like a deadlift, you like straight up 60 kilo with a plate on each side, you're warming up already on like weight twice the amount. So you're basically pushing your body in a certain way, which stimulates muscle growth. And I think that would be a focus to think about, to keep in your mind, to work on exercises that'll really push your body in lifting more weight.
Yeah.
Do that to start with, build up those numbers, and then start concentrating on all the little specific little stuff. So I'm not saying don't do the bicep and that, but there's a sort of priority system that you should be considering, and just have that focus in your mind.
No, awesome. 645 million said, "Who's up with you? What's your YouTube channel name?" And so that's my boy Richie. He doesn't have a YouTube channel, but he might have one in the future. So look
I
out
have
for
a
him.
channel, but I don't put videos on it. I normally subscribe to people like Kwame on it.
And he said, "Can bicep curls train triceps indirectly?" I can take this question. Okay, so your triceps are your antagonist muscle to your biceps, so it means the opposite muscle. So when you are in the opposite, like the phase of the movement, so your eccentric phase, you actually so when you basically not working the tricep and you basically curl up. So you're not working the bicep, and you're in your eccentric phase, you're actually starting to almost contract your tricep. So it doesn't directly train it, but you could have some sort of muscle, like some sort of tension on the muscle there. So that's why sometimes you could notice that when you actually start to take your some of your reps a little bit slower, you start to get an overall pump, let's say in your arms, and you'd be like, why does my tricep look a little bit pumped? But indirectly, because you're doing it really slowly, it's almost like you're doing an eccentric on the other movement, a slow eccentric on the other muscle group too. So
There's some really accomplished lifters that I know who actually use, for example, preacher curl, and when they're at the bottom of the stretch for their bicep curl, they're actually contracting their tricep. So don't think like, taking it slow might be something that people don't do. There's people I know that do that who have good development, so
yeah.
I'd consider it. Yeah, can see if it works for you.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
don't do it myself personally, but see what works for you. Everyone trains differently.
Like I incorporate it in like quite a bit, like some movements. I love time and attention training. You know me, and when we train
does like
shoulders
that.
and stuff like that.
It does get you sore, like does get me sore because it's a bit of something different. I think. Yeah.
And like just my opinion on just touching up on like expanding on what Richie said as well about training for lifters. When you start, and really perfect. I have quite a similar thought. Sometimes Richie and I don't actually agree on stuff, being real here, but sometimes we do. But it's really good when we don't agree because we both have really strong opinions. And it's
He might come up with some sort of like, we're doing this next, Richie, and I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna do something else.
yeah, but like just touching up on what he said with the compound movements, lifting heavy, he couldn't have literally hit the nail on the head. Just literally keeping those compound movements, you're gonna get a lot more muscles recruited, and also as long as you keep good form as well, control the weight as well, know what you're lifting, you're going to build up mass and thickness as well. It also challenges your body and it puts it under so much tension. Metabolism speeds up as well. There's a lot more muscles being used and recruited, and a lot more for the body to heal and repair, which is going to actually use your calories for. So
yeah, and also as a beginner, I think it's important to consider barbells and dumbbells. And what that is free weights as opposed to machines. This is my opinion, by the way. And I think based on me just being logical, and the way I think is like 40,000 years ago as human beings, we didn't really change too much like physiologically. So I think like our muscles respond to weight under load, and that's based off basically lifting weights against gravity. So using weights and dumbbells mean that you're able to use your limbs, your arms and legs, as levers in a way that comes naturally to you. You'll find some machines, depending on your build, you might be too short or too tall or whatever the difference is. it may not be set up at the perfect angle such that you're able to really get the right squeeze or contraction with your muscles, because the machine's not designed exactly for your height.
So-
Whereas if you pick up a dumbbell and you try to do a bicep curl, you follow the guidelines of form, then you'll find that you're able to contract it in a way which works. And that's why I'm saying about loading up with barbells and dumbbells. So
And
I
just
think
for those of you that don't know, Richie's actually got his degree in aerospace engineering, so he does have some engineering background.
Oh yeah, well,
So-
that's sort of I guess my sort of nature to sort of answer the question directly and be logical and problem solving. I think that comes into it too.
Yeah, and sometimes you see me talk, and I sound like I'm talking gibberish because I've got a nutrition degree as well, but sometimes I can go a little bit technical as well, but I try to bring it down. So if I'm ever too technical, just let me know. Vince says, I'm going for Captain America look. What's a good body weight for a 6'1"? What's a good body weight for 6'1",
So do
actually?
you know what it is? So it comes back to my basic logical thing. 6'1", I always do it in centimeters. So I think 6 foot is about 180 and 1 inch is about 2.5, right? So it's 182.5. I do this rule of thumb where I subtract 100 and I add 10%. So 182.5 minus 100 is 82.5 plus 10% is about 8 kilos, 8.2 on top. So it's about 90 kilos. So I would think that with very low body fat and a lot of extra muscle, about 90 kilo body fat shredded and bulk and muscled up would be a good weight for that height, and that's when you'd look good. Minus 10% is a bit okay, you're probably at comp condition. So that's what I would say. I normally do that.
But that's quite lean as well though, because he's
Quite
looking at a Captain America. Captain America
Does he have abs or no?
He does. He's a pretty big boy
That's
though.
lean.
He's also
You got
pretty
abs,
big.
you have 10%
he's
body
still a
fat
pretty
or
big boy
roughly
as well,
whatever.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
big, yeah.
Yeah. See, in
So that's why I would say you gotta
instance,
be
in
at
my
least-
opinion, I'd have said 95, but see, this is what I mean. Sometimes we disagree, but you know, I like Richie's
Oh,
theory.
yeah.
I like Richie's theory because he's actually got a method that he works it out, which I can't figure out. But he's got a method for it. So you see, I'll actually back up his more because right now I've got nothing that supports mine.
Mine's just a rule of thumb. For example, I'm not the tallest guy in the world. I'm about 167 or 166 or I don't know, somewhere around there. So a guy at my height, being solid, would be 166 minus 166 kilos plus 10% is about 72 kilos, and I weigh 78. So yeah, 72 kilos should be pretty bulked up, but 78 is probably too big. Yeah.
Okay,
Or fat. Or bulky.
645.
I'm a bit off season right now.
645 says, I've been working out since 2014, but I still got small guns. I am 15 now. You're only 15 years old, but don't limit yourself to age as well. So, my rule of thumb as well with arms is train them with frequency. Once they recover, I'll hit them again. Once they recover, I hit them again as well.
To be honest with you, I was training since I was 12. So when I was 15, I already had okay, this is what happened, okay? Because I'm too short, right? Okay. Because I'm 167 centimeter, what I had a bench press at home, and the supports on those small bench presses are really narrow, and because a tall person who was 6'1" would automatically reach outside the supports, and that's because their arms are so long. I try to do that, but my arms are so short because I'm so short. So then what I do is I put my arms inside the supports, and that is like a narrow grip bench, right? So that hits more tricep. So I always bench narrow grip, and I still do that to today. And what I find is my arms are too big, and to my body, and everyone likes that. They're like, hey, your arms are big, I want that. And I think what happens is when you do more closer grip bench and stuff like that, your arms get bigger because it's a more tricep exercise. So I would recommend changing your form for bench, because what happens is, look at Arnold even, when he was younger, I felt like his arms looked bigger to his body, and then when he got older, his chest and back just got so big, and that's common because chest and back is doing the benches and deadlifts and stuff like that, so it's very big muscle groups which grow much bigger, and your arms just sort of don't hold on to. So what I find is people who train for a long time, or people who even start off training, who can't build their arms, or their chest and back get too far away from them, should start concentrating on doing exercises in such a way that it hits the arm not so secondarily, but a bit almost 50-50 in ratio to the main body part, chest and stuff. The other thing as well was training arms like 3 times a week. I used to train arms Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and train chest and back Tuesday, shoulders Thursday, stuff like that. So
and I think frequency, like, is one of the things that's helped even me myself when I wanted to improve my arms. And like, just train them as often. Once they recover, I hit them straight away. I even sometimes combine them with, for instance, a chest. After chest day, I could hit a bit of triceps, or after back day, hit a bit of biceps. Just keep the blood in there, and also you're already pre-exhausted from the workout, so I figure, why don't I just finish them off? Okay, Vince says, I follow one channel, Alpha Destiny, and I've been told if you have enough muscle, it would naturally shape the body, even if there's a higher body fat percentage. That's an interesting thought.
That's one channel, Alpha Destiny. I've been told if you have enough muscle, it will naturally shape the body, even though there's a higher fat percentage. So he's saying that,
You're welcome, 6:45 minutes.
Even if you're a higher fat percentage, having enough muscle will naturally shape the body. I think I need more specific information than that.
That's really hard, because genetically as well, muscle insets is one of the biggest indicator of like how you look. That actually shows literally determines how you look, like with muscle insets, and that's basically a genetic thing. So it's really hard to talk
about shaping the body. So what is usually people talking about good shape is something like muscle bellies, and like the way that the muscles are inserted. Typically, you can see that better when you're leaner as well, because what happens is the fat disappears around the ends of the muscle, and then you start to see more peak. For example, like a bicep peak. You'll look at your off-season, on-season photo, you'll notice it's a lot more peakier, but the measurement around there is pretty similar, or not too different. And how that's happening is, you start to see more shape. So that's one thing.
What I can also stress on is probably a little bit of muscle maturity. Like, that's one thing we've always talked about as well. Sometimes you can have such mature muscle, and I can, for instance, people sometimes think I'm like 6% body fat when I'm not, like sometimes you can even appear leaner and you could appear more shape.
I think what he's saying, even with high fat percentage, if you have more muscle, it can still shape the body. Do you know what it is he's talking about? Is separation of the muscle. So with maturity of the muscle, by training for a long time, you can actually break up the muscle groups and see the shoulder separate from the arm, separate from the chest, and that's with a higher fat percentage. You can still see those outlines of things, and how that is possible is because the muscle becomes mature, you can see the shape. But the other thing as well is that even with a higher body fat percentage, even through the light, once you get striations, which is maturity of the muscle, where it starts peeling into more, you can see more cuts in it. That doesn't ever really go away. You can see less of it with high body fat, but once you get those cuts, once you get back to that body fat again, you always see it. So it's like an achievement. So I think what you're saying there with are those cuts there?
And just finish off, Vince. Another thing I could say as well is, because you're also consistently using those muscle groups as well, like what I believe, so it's a personal opinion, is the distribution of fat stores your body may not store as much visceral fat in those places. So for instance, your arms, the person might have better shape in their arms, or store less body fat in their arms, but then it could store them elsewhere. So poor blood flow can also be a great indicator of where your body also stores more body fat. So when people talk about your body, you can't sport reduce fat loss, but you can also help promote blood flow and also reduce chances of body fat being stored there. But if your body is looking for somewhere to store body fat, it will store it.
But in general, I think what we found is that we've answered your question in a number of different ways, and that's because of the general form of your question. So if you have a more specific way to express it, then we'll be happy to sort of explain it with a bit more specificness.
Yeah, so we hope we've been of help, Vince, and hopefully that worked. Okay, let's quickly, because Richie and I got to train, let's quickly given a for instance, if we're talking about a beginner, okay, who has no idea, he's just seen let's say he's seen a Captain American looking guy down the street, and he's like, dude, I want to look like this guy, okay? So what do I have to change in my diet? What do I have to start eating? I don't expect you to say anything specific with food, but how could I actually manage my diet more importantly, so I can actually look like that Captain American dude, you know?
Yeah, try to. You don't have to.
And we'll give
I
you
think
both our
just try to
opinions.
consistently eat the same amount of food, whether it's the same, like however that works for you. So you could do that quantitatively by putting it through something like MyFitnessPal and like having the exact same like calories of food and macronutrients every day. If that's too hard for you, then you could just have the same kinds of food every day, like the same number of Weet-Bix a day, the same banana, the same everything. Just try to be consistent with it, and then see where it takes your body. So in terms of if you're trying to bulk, then eat a bit more. If you're trying to cut, eat a bit less of certain things. And then, like in general terms, I would do that. And then if you're trying to gain some size, and like especially if you're at younger age, teenage or something like that, like I would take advantage of like wherever you see meat, man, just eat meat because that's protein. And then the other thing as well is probably like put up your calories, because when you're young, what happens is you might find that like once you hit 18 and you start heading out to town, or you start going to all these restaurants and cafes and stuff because you're at uni or you're working, you got money, you start getting maybe a bit more looser with your diet and you get a bit more fatter. But then like a year of eating a bit bad foods and getting a bit fatter looks different from 5 years of eating bad food, and that's why you find it's more common that 30 or 40 year olds or 50 year olds get more fatter than like being heaps lean, except for those heaps fit ones who do cycling or like Ironman or something like that. Typically you'll find that like 10 years worth of eating like over calories looks different from 1 year or 2 years of eating over calories, and that's why you find those guys who are training weights now who are 25 and they look a bit bigger, their arms are starting to look like good size and they're able to bulk cut. It's hard to take control of that very young age, and that's something Kwame's been able to conquer because he did a lot of amateur bodybuilding at those young ages, so he was very disciplined obviously with whatever he's doing. So I'd actually pass you over to him for his advices on what he did at that time.
Yeah, no, thanks, Richie. Really, really good and literally really strong points as well. And like, I love the way Richie explains stuff because he gives you a really in-depth way. Like, it gives you a really, really good overview. Yeah, so that way you can actually like apply it in so many different ways, and which is good. I mean, we all try and learn and we try and gain as much knowledge as possible. And yeah, so if someone came up to me and said I wanted to look like that Captain America, dude, I'll start straight away with the management of diet. At least we could always start with like tracking your macros, and there's an app called MyFitnessPal, as Richie even mentioned, and
another one similar.
And there's so many others on the internet that you can get.
I think there used to be like Calorie King was a website.
Yeah, Calorie King, actually. I remember that. Oh my god.
Back when I was 12, I think I had this book. Where it had different food you could index up and it had the calories in it.
Yeah, so technology's come a long way, and that's a great start to be able to track your calories. And once you actually start seeing what you're eating, what's going in and out of your body, it actually gives you a great idea of like how much like quantitatively, when you get a piece of, let's say, toast, like how much calories that is in there. So you're actually more aware of the things. You start to become a little bit more aware of what you eat. So that could help you, depending on your goal being weight loss or muscle building. That could help you in that way. So now that's just tracking your calories. Now, if as a rule of thumb, this is really nice and simple. If you were to if your goal was to build muscle, you're going to have to eat in a caloric surplus. It means you're eating more than you're required daily, because your body is going to need some extra calories and nutrients to repair the muscle that's been basically torn or damaged during your training time. So just nice and simply, just eating the caloric surplus. Don't go overboard with it. But as Richie said, being young, there's a good chance that like it's not going to really affect you as much if you have a decent metabolism. So yeah, like don't be scared to go a little bit over. And if I just hit back a little bit to training with progressive overload, even going back into a compound heavy movements again, that's going to help you as well. Weight loss, just eat in my personal opinion, I'll eat in a slight caloric deficit. So I try not to even eat too much in a caloric deficit, because like I know there's also foods that help promote weight loss and stuff like that, like your green tea and stuff that help with fat burning. So I like to eat in just a slight caloric deficit. You can also incorporate cardio your regime, which also help burn fat. So at the end of the day, it's the amount of energy in to energy out, and we work with our estimated energy requirement, which is your total energy that's actually required for the day, on an estimated level, because you can't calculate calorie for calorie or energy for energy how much is actually being put in or put out in your body, but you can get estimates. So it gives you a great idea as to where you want to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll probably explain in a basic way how I do it. Is you look at if you can actually have food which is the same foods every day. You don't even have to know exactly how many calories. You just have to eat the exact same food every day for like a week or something, and then you literally look at it and you'd be like, okay, let's put that into. Well, okay, no, actually, this is the best way I do it. Get like a free app like MyFitnessPal, okay? Don't change anything with your food, because people get scared. They're like, what's going on? They're telling me to eat the same food, or they're telling me to count how many calories in a piece of toast, and they're telling me caloric deficit. What is my caloric basal metabolic rate or whatever? I think it's too complicated sometimes. I think we just got to dumb down to be like, okay, say if we're always looking the same right now, let's just track what food we are eating, what drink we are drinking. Let's put that all into something that counts it, right? Like MyFitnessPal for like a week, and then like a month. So for literally a month, just eat whatever you've been eating, and whatever you feel like, eat whatever, and just start logging it. Once you've logged that all in and you know exactly roughly where you're at, like every week you've been eating 3,000-ish calories, and then the next week 3,000-ish calories, and then you had your mate's bucks party and then you ate 5,000 calories. And then it's then okay, I'm over 4 weeks about 3,500 calorie average. Then from that numbers, you can then basically go alright, if I want to be in a deficit to shred up for summer coming in the next 3 months or something like that, then you'd be okay, let's deficit 10% and go deduct 300 calories off. So you'd be let's set a target on my app for say 2,700 calories, and then you can eat whatever you like as long as it fits in that number of calories. So then just eat your food, stick it in, and log it, and make sure you're within those numbers. If you're roughly consistent with that, then you're taking your body in a certain direction which you have prediction of, and you have a plan, and you're following through with doing something. And same thing with bulking. Add 10% and go 3,300 calories, and then look at 3,300 calories for a week or two. You find that you've increased 200 grams, but you think maybe that was still you haven't pooped yet, and maybe you don't even know if that's increased. And then do another 300, do another 10% increase. So then 3,300 increase would be 330 calories on top. So then it'd be 3,630 calories, and then you'd be okay, I actually gained 500 grams that week from the previous week, and then you're okay, you got a log. Last week was 200 gram increase, and then 500 gram increase, and then you're taking your body a certain direction then that's your road to 100 kilo body weight or something like that. And then you can see there that you're not going too nuts. You're not just I'll just eat everything I can in sight. You don't have any plan or direction. And that's how I do it, quantitatively and sort of in a free way. Yeah.
Yeah, so I like that, and that's like Richie basically just said, it helps you be aware. So you're not just sitting there eating every single thing inside. But with that being said, you can actually incorporate it into your diet, and you're a little bit more aware of where you're going, and everything's on track. You have a plan, and like anything, to be successful, if you do have a great plan, you will succeed. You're more likely to succeed. So that was really, really good, actually. Guys, if you have any questions, throw them in the comments below or ask us. Right now we're about to train chest and back. Today we're going to do a little bit more upper back because we got legs tomorrow, and we don't want our lower back too sore before training legs. So yeah, we've already trained chest and back for the week. We're just doing it again because it's fun. We love it, And yeah, that's the thing. People take training as a chore. We take it as a privilege. We actually enjoy what we do.
We've sort of been doing 3-day splits. Sort of been training the body twice a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, so find that hits, I don't know, just makes us feel that everything's well done, really. And we don't actually rest that much. Probably a day or two rest here or there.
Yeah.
A week or two.
Yeah.
And I think,
But if you eat them well, it's
that being said, I previously trained 5 days, 5-day splits, and taking weekends off. just gotta be consistent with
Yeah.
whatever you're doing. Yeah,
And it's how you feel as well. Like sometimes I feel my joints have like started to ache, so I'm like, I gotta take those 2 days off. Usually I like my 5 days, so you know that. But then Richie's like, oh, come down and train. I'm like, yeah, boy.
Yeah, I used to be a lot like that when I was a kid as well. Like, I used to be done at the gym, and then some mates would rock up, and I'd go train with them as well. But yeah, I think like whatever. Yeah, as long as you're having fun, because we're here because we like to be. And
Yeah.
from what I read as well, like Arnold at one time was for his comps doing 2-day splits 3 times a week. So that's training the whole body in 2 days. That's what a split is.
Yeah.
So I think he did something like chest and back in the morning, legs at night, and then shoulders.
Yeah, I remember
and
that
abs in
actually.
the
Yeah.
next day, and then arms at
He's-
night, and then just train that again. And that's like a lot of training. So
Yeah.
And his workouts were long. They're like 2 hours long.
You
like
see,
what
that's
I read.
one thing I respect a lot about Arnold was his work ethic. He was right in there with his work ethic, and you know he had a really good physique as well. But that's what inspires me about Arnold.
Yeah, but yeah, training is actually catabolic. It actually breaks the muscle down. So make sure you rest, and that's when you actually grow and eat your food.
I'll have a look at that, Vince. Thank you so much. You're a champion. Thank you. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys are legends. I'll definitely check out the super chat as well. Please give a thumbs up to this video. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments. Richie's gonna be going live with me a little bit more often, and yeah, so it's gonna be good. That's good. You guys love Richie and good lad, and you know he's always happy to help us out, and yeah, it's good fun. Always good fun talking to you guys. You know, I look forward to actually like, you know, talking to you guys and you know, yeah, collaborating with you guys and see what's in store. So, see what you guys have been doing and been getting up to, and yeah.
Yeah, I really like to hear feedback. So if you comment on stuff, like I'd be interested to see what your thoughts are on.
Definitely, I'm always,
content.
and like we said, we're both really open-minded people. We love a little bit of a debate, and we love to hear what people say, and you know, like even if what you want to say doesn't go like with what we say, we want to hear it because that's the thing. Like it's really good. Like love a bit of a chat, and yeah. So thanks guys for watching. Please make sure you click the like button, subscribe as well for more, turn on post notifications, and comment below. We are done. Time to hit chest and bar.